The cryptocurrency market just got a huge boost, a massive green candle just about hitting the 28,200 level. You might be wondering what is going on. Well, we're going to try and break it down for you in this video to make sure you know what's going on. Is this the start of the bull run, or once again, is this a big fake out? Subscribe, make sure you hit a like on this video, and let's get over and see what's going on. So here we go. I was kind of just finishing another video up that I was recording. If you haven't checked that out, it's a Jasmine video. It's coming out really soon. And then I all of a sudden looked at Bitcoin that's just sent it 3.31% up. The rest of the market moving as well. Ethereum at 1727, Casper up 5%. All the coins pretty big. Solana up 12.5%. And I was kind of going to be wondering what is going on. Now we know tomorrow, Monday, will be a big day for the Ethereum futures and ETF market, which we talked about on my live stream earlier on. We know that there's a lot launching tomorrow, but what is going on and why are we seeing this massive spike? Well, ultimately, we got a big win from the US. Now, there was a 45-day funding agreement signed at the very last minute to avert the shutdown of the US government, which would be absolutely insane. And again, we got the live updates here that came in. It says Biden signs 45-day funding bill to keep the government open. What does it mean? Well, it says the bill allows the government to stay open for 45 days, giving the House and Senate more time to finish their funding legislation. And a lot of this has been talked about and has been kind of driven by the war in Ukraine. $43 billion has been put into Kiev so far by the US government. And ultimately, what does it mean? Why and how does a government truly shut down? Well, that's a very good question, and one of which we're going to try and explain right now. So ultimately, the government shutdown happens when Congress doesn't approve funding for the federal government for the time of the new fiscal year starts on October 1st. It can be averted briefly if a short-term funding bill is passed, like what happened just before midnight on September 30th. Each year, Congress must pass the 12 appropriation bills that make up the discretionary spending budget and set funding levels for federal agencies. So, like we said, that was an important vote that was done at the very last hour with only 3 hours to go. And then, obviously, this 45-day funding period has been approved, which has started to move the market. Now you might be thinking, okay, what happens if we don't? What happens if we don't hit that number? Well, there's a lot, and it can impact severely on households, incomes, and investments. And this probably summarizes it the best here. So because many federal workers are off the job during the government shutdown, many services are stopped or slowed, disturbing the day-to-day life of many Americans. So you can see there, airport delays, museum closures, immigration would close, compounding case backlogs, childhood education would be stopped, food safety would be disrupted, food assistance, infrastructure. Now remember, a lot of things are built through infrastructure. A lot of things are held together, and it's not a pun, by the way. We also get transportation would be a trouble, national parks, as much more would cease to come together. All the banking institutions, anything linked to the government would ultimately go on pause for a period of time until this legislation could be sorted. So when we talk about cryptocurrency and we talk about the government not going into lockdown, it's very good news. Equally, this funding bill that has been passed, like I said, we've got a pretty big week coming forward. Again, what does it mean for government workers? Shutdown occurs, millions of federal employees and military service members would not get paid until after it ends. Again, this is a tightening on financial restrictions to ensure that ultimately it's all put through the correct procedures. Like I said, we got this, and ultimately Biden was quoted by saying, "There's no Ukraine funding in this agreement." Biden said, "Despite that, I did not believe we could let millions of Americans go through the pain of a government shutdown." The president said that he would not hold Republicans accountable. The previous signals to support the Ukraine, he says, "But let's be clear, I hope my friends on the other side keep their word about support for Ukraine. They said that we were going to support Ukraine in a separate vote." The president said, "We cannot under any circumstance allow American support for Ukraine to be interrupted," he said. So ultimately, I guess in this instance, putting the American person first, putting the American investor first, as well as those everyday Americans and what they do in their jobs. So we have, though, 45 days to get this right. And if it doesn't, then we would go into a shutdown in which we will see a pretty heavy decline on a number of markets, on a number of coins, in particular the cryptocurrency market, which obviously you and I are both interested in. And again, we'll see how that all plays out. Just taking a quick look for your information at the pre-markets on the back of this news. The pre-markets have spiked, which is no surprise. We looked at them earlier on my live stream and they were pretty flat with a slight decline. Look at the Dow Jones up 123 at the point in which This made up 114 on fair value, was 16.75 on the S&P 500, into things like the NASDAQ up 85 predicted at the opening on the pre-markets. And like we said, the cryptocurrency markets are all going pretty crazy. However, the government not out of the realm just yet. There could be more downside. There could be equally more pain for the American people if they don't find this agreement, if they don't get through what they need to get through, and ultimately could include this. National sales government shutdowns can have far-reaching economic consequences, hampering growth and promoting uncertainty, especially if they drag on. Some of these costs include raising the unemployment rate, lowering the growth of gross domestic product, and raising the cost of borrowing. And we know they're important because that's ultimately what drives inflation. We know Jerome Powell said that is the metric they're looking at, particularly employment rates and job loss claims. So we'll see how this plays out. 45 days and counting. Make sure you subscribe. We'll keep you up to date with everything going on. But as it stands right now, the cryptocurrency market is absolutely sending it 3.5%. Where does it stop? Drop in the comment down below. What do you think? And as ever, thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Like this video if you're bullish on cryptocurrency. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.